you guys, the reason you're all here is you are all content creators. Part of Bitcoin is building out the tech, but the other part is building out the education, building out the community, translating, the blockchain over into what people actually understand and makes a difference to their lives. Um, when talking about content creation, I think that Bitcoin content creation has really evolved and changed. Can Let's just start by like reflecting on like where Bitcoin education like started from and where it is today. I can't think of a better person to start it off than Max Kaiser. Recently, just watched a clip, where someone said, "I don't know who Andreas is, but Max Kaiser. That's how I learned about Bitcoin." So, Max, you're one of the earliest evangelists. Why don't you talk about like this journey into translating Bitcoin into what people can actually understand?
Right. That was Adam Curry on the Joe Rogan show. And yeah, we were actually talking about Bitcoin before Andreas was talking about Bitcoin back in early 2011. But I think the evolution of the education of Bitcoin in the media, I think we have to give credit to memes. Memes really, especially in 2016, with the U.S. politics, memes became huge. Remember, Pepe the Frog was suddenly a meme that had a huge factor, apparently, on the presidential election. And in the Bitcoin space, memes like money printer go burr, that communicates instantly the whole to people. Oh, do I have to drink, by the way? Did I say the magic word?
Sure.
Anyway, whatever. So that meme instantly communicated to people the relationship between money printing and Bitcoin. Bitcoin is hard money, and so I think that's really remarkable in a lot of ways, and I think that does so much to grab people's attention and pull them in, more so than being didactic and saying like, well, Bitcoin's good for you, it's going to solve your constipation, it'll make you thinner, it'll solve your gray hair, it's better than the other guy. It's got to be instant, in this instant communication world.
Yeah, I love the memes, and I think memes are underrated. The best memers are the ones who are in power today, and I think that trend's going to continue. I want to jump over to BTC sessions. I'm part of class of 2017, and I remember one of the very first videos I watched was "What hardware wallet should you buy?" by BTC sessions, and I know you've been making a lot of educational content, since I think 2016, and personally, I've been impacted by it. Why don't you talk about, the evolution of Bitcoin education?
Yeah, well, I mean, firstly, it's always like massively flattering hearing anybody say like, oh, I learned how to do this from a video that I made like a couple years ago or something. It's always really cool to see and hear that. I guess when I started diving in, it was around 2014. I started learning in it, and it was still tough. There definitely was not this cornucopia of excellent Bitcoiners that were also great at content creation back then. The space has expanded so much in those past 6 years, but that's very much why I kind of dove in. I spent a good couple of years learning as much as I could, trying to sort through technical writings on how to work different things, or just trial and error, and I realized maybe somehow I could fit into the niche of Bitcoin education. I did, previous to this, I used to teach little kids how to break dance. was my old job, and so like a lot of people are like, how the hell do you transition from that to this? I mean, to be fair, teaching, school-age children how to do complex dance moves is surprisingly similar to teaching adults how to master complex technology. And so it was oddly, I was already comfortable in front of a camera and performing stuff like that. So transition was oddly smooth. Nobody really cared about the channel initially, but it started to grow. And again, like everybody starts with Max and starts with Andreas and some of the early ones, and now there's just, again, like, keep it simple. I'm always looking at his stuff, seeing like Nico and you guys at Bitcoin Magazine, and continuing to watch Max and see Coin Icarus and just all the stuff out there. There's so much to choose from now. It's amazing. There's 10 times the noise that you have to navigate. But I think Bitcoiners, hold on. I think our community is doing an excellent job holding down the fort and pumping out quality content. And I hope that I can continue to contribute to that in any way.
All right, let's jump to Kiss since BTC Benny did mention you. I personally love your videos, very detailed. If you haven't checked out KIS Bitcoin on Twitter and on YouTube, you better. Kiss, why don't you talk about that evolution?
Yeah, you know, I've been in this space for about, I think 2015. And I've always been trying to figure out how to contribute because, you know, I feel like it's really important. And I felt like if I look back, you know, in 10, 15 years and I didn't do anything, I would have been pissed. I would have been upset. And so I went in so many different directions. I learned how to code and then tried that. And it was like, not my thing. I didn't want to be in front of the camera because I didn't feel like I had anything to add. I just didn't know what to do. And eventually I found 402 payment required. He used to make tutorial video, or he, she, they used to make tutorials. And I thought, you know, there's nothing out there that's like a point and click, hold your hand through it type of video where you don't need to know, you know, about multi-sig. You don't need to know about in-depth security. Come and watch like one of my tutorials and it will go from A to Z, how to get from start to finish. And then I sprinkle in, you know, things that I think are important, things that some people think are extreme, you know, extreme privacy, extreme security, but I do it in a way where it's like a highlight. So it's like, oh, okay, now I know about this, but let me get to the end of it because it's too much. This space is so complicated and difficult and overwhelming that, you know, paralysis by analysis takes hold and then people don't do anything. So I wanted to create something that like my grandmother can, you know, make a wallet. And I've proved some of my videos. I've had little kids watch a video and see if they can do it. You know, obviously I help, but it sticks. You know, it actually holds pretty good. And that's why I don't like talking either, because it could get kind of like verbose. It's actually more difficult than you would think to be really clear and concise. And these videos take me so long to make. I started timing them and seeing how much time a video took while working with Cold Card. I was making, you know, a bunch of their videos recently, and it's just amazing how long it takes. I mean, the smallest little detail takes, you know, 10, 15 minutes sometimes, but it doesn't have to be complex. I just want to help people go from A to Z. That's it. And then, you know, go watch someone else's videos, go learn about another facet of it. Whatever you do, all my stuff is just super practical.
Yeah, no, and you're probably right. Like just being detail oriented with the editing is extremely hard, and not talking is kind of like a additional challenge. Talking about kind of like making Bitcoin complicated things simple. I remember Coin Icarus, you taught our boy Nick how to flash a Casa node over to a my node, and you've been doing a lot of kind of like node related technical stuff. Why don't you talk about kind of your experience, you know, diving into that part of Bitcoin education?
So I really appreciate that, and it was actually really fun, and I still continue to help people who you know, who reach out to me about it. And essentially, what I found was that, you know, even though there's a lot of material out there, because there's tons of amazing material, you have to be at a certain technical level to get it, and a lot of people are intimidated by the command line. And so for me, actually, you know, like I made a video on how to, you know, do the on how to put together a Raspberry Blitz using Windows. And I've already had a couple of people try it out, and, you know, they've been successful and been able to get their node up and running. And they found it a lot easier, you know, a lot less intimidating to see, you know, the command line work done by somebody else. So they know actually what to write. Because even though we do our best to show it to them, you know, it's like until sometimes somebody actually sees it, they still get intimidated by it, you know? So there's that aspect of it. But I wanted to touch on something that Keep It Simple said, about what to do in the space. That's something that I found at the beginning very intimidating, because especially when I first got started in like late 2016, everybody that I would follow is a programmer. Everyone's an engineer. Everyone knows how to do something just really incredible, and how to make something from nothing. And it's, it was kind of like, I want to make material for this because I'm passionate about Bitcoin, but what can I actually contribute that, maybe some other people can't? And it's not to say that, nobody else can do a podcast. There's tons of podcasts out there, but I just, for me, it's like, it's about having the, getting to learn about people's experiences going into Bitcoin and getting to see all the similarities.
Awesome. And yeah, I agree. Contributing is just so rewarding, especially because there's just so much more to Bitcoin besides just, an investment or educating on a topic. Like it's something that, all of us feel passionate about. Nico, why don't you talk about like why YouTube? I know that you kind of jumped in and that's like your main medium, and that's, we're all YouTubers here. Why did you jump into YouTube as one of the things that you focused on with Bitcoin education and content?
Absolutely. So I think that it would be disingenuous if I didn't, shout out to the people that kind of inspired me on YouTube first, which would definitely be Max and Andreas. Their content is just, especially when you're getting into Bitcoin, they do a very good job of explaining it, and not that many people could do that. And to answer your original question, why YouTube? Well, I spend a lot of time on YouTube, right? So, I kind of consume most of my media on YouTube on that mean or whatever. And what started to happen is I kind of started a podcast on my spare time. And, I've had UCK, I've had KIS, I've had Coin Icarus. And, one of the things that I've noticed, and to kind of add to KS's point, like a lot of people, when they get into this space, they feel kind of, abandoned, right? They don't know how to contribute. And what I started to realize as a podcaster is everyone could contribute in their own way. You don't need to know how to code. You don't need to know how to do specific things. But also when I did the podcast with Phil, I just, this light bulb came into my head that night, and I was just like, man, this guy is perfect. I need to approach him, because I was sick and tired of seeing all these altcoins or shitcoin channels, and they're just completely wrecking noobs, and they were just showing the news and doing a meme review and doing whatever. And I approached Phil that same night. I'm like, Phil, I got an idea. Listen, we're going to do the same type of format that these guys do, but we're just going to do only Bitcoin. And man, the rest is history. And he really liked the idea, and that's where we decided to start Simply Bitcoin. And we've been doing it for a month, and we've loved it. We've loved it ever since.